Most men think words are their strongest weapon in relationships. But here's the shocking truth. The most powerful thing you can ever give a woman is not your attention, not your effort, not even your love. It's your silence. Because silence does what no argument, no explanation, and no chasing ever could. It exposes the truth, and it reveals whether she truly values you or whether she only valued the attention you gave her. INTRO, when you cut contact, something shifts in her world. At first, she pretends not to care. She tells herself she's fine, that she's better off without you. But as the days stretch on, the silence begins to echo. That's when her ego and her heart collide. And that battle will reveal everything you need to know. So today, I'm going to break down the 6 dark truths of cutting contact with a woman, truths rooted in psychology, relationships, and self-improvement for men. If you understand these truths, gotta again doubt the power of silence. Let's go more. Now, dark truth, when in silence, silence exposes her ego vis. Her heart, the first thing that happens when you go silent is that a battle erupts inside her. Outwardly, her ego screams, I don't need him, I can live without him. In fact, I'm better off now that he's gone. She'll post pictures, laugh louder, and put on a show for the world. But here's the psychological secret. That's not strength, it's performance. Because late at night, when her head hits the pillow and her phone is empty, that's when her heart whispers louder than her ego can silence. She remembers your words, your presence, the way you made her feel safe. She notices your absence in the smallest ways. And here's the lesson for you. If you break the silence too soon, you rob yourself of clarity. But if you hold firm, you'll see the truth unfold, whether her heart was ever truly with you or whether it was just her ego keeping you around. Dark truth bait 2A. Silence forces her to confront the void. When you cut contact, you don't just walk away, you create a void. And here's the dark psychology behind it. The human brain hates empty spaces. When something is missing, the mind starts obsessing over it, replaying memories, and creating meaning where none exists. At first, she distracts herself. She goes out more. She posts selfies, dinners, laughs with friends. To the outside world, she looks fine. But that's the mask. When the crowd disappears and the noise dies down, the silence presses against her chest like a weight. That's when she notices the little things. A no good morning text, no name flashing on her notifications, no one to share the small, funny things of the day with. And here's what makes silence more powerful than any words. Arguments keep you present. Even anger keeps you alive in her mind. But silence erases you. It creates fear. Because for the first time, she feels the possibility of being forgotten. And nothing terrifies her ego more than that. Psychologists call this the zygonic effect. The tendency for unfinished situations to stay in our minds far longer than completed ones. Your silence leaves the story unfinished, and that's why it haunts her. The lesson for you, most men panic here. They think, what if she forgets me? What if she moves on? But in reality, silence makes her remember you more deeply than chasing ever could. Don't rush to fill the void. Let the silence work for you. Dark truth, faith for ye. Silence triggers her tests. When the silence stretches longer than she expected, something shifts. At first, she was sure you'd break. She thought you'd chase. She thought your discipline was only temporary. But when you don't fold, her ego starts to panic. That's when the tests begin. She won't text you directly. Her pride won't allow that. Instead, she sends signals, subtle, indirect moves designed to see if you're still watching. Suddenly, her social media lights up. She's posting more often, showing off her independence. She dresses differently, laughs louder, takes selfies in places you once loved together. Sometimes she even posts with other men, not because she's moved on, but because she's desperate to spark a reaction. But here's the truth, these are not signs of strength. They're signs of struggle. A woman who has truly moved on doesn't need to announce it to the world. Real happiness doesn't perform. When she suddenly feels the need to broadcast her best life, it's because she secretly wants to know if you're still paying attention. This is the psychology of provocation testing. She's poking at your silence, hoping to break through without humbling herself enough to reach out directly. Every test is a gamble. If you react, she wins. If you stay silent, her confidence cracks. The lesson for you, never take the bait. If she posts a picture with another guy, stay calm. If she flaunts her glow up, stay still. Remember, this silence is your shield and patience is your power. Every time you refuse to react, you show her something she never expected, that her games no longer work on you. Dark truth way for ye. Silence pushes her into the emotional spiral of doubt and regret when her tests fail, when you don't like the photo, when you don't take the bait, when your silence remains unshaken. That's when the spiral begins. At first, she told herself she was fine. Then she tried to prove it. But now, in the stillness, something more dangerous creeps in: doubt. She starts to ask herself questions she doesn't want to answer. What? Why hasn't he reached out? Has he really moved on? What? Did I push him too far? What if I lost something I'll never find again? These questions eat at her because they force her to confront what she buried under pride. And that's when regret sneaks in. She replays your last conversations word for word. She romanticizes your memories. She remembers the way your presence once made her feel safe. And suddenly, those ordinary moments become golden in her mind. This is pure dark psychology at work. Silence polishes memories until they shine brighter than reality ever did. Even if she's talking to new men, even if she's entertaining new connections, she compares them to you. And the comparison rarely holds up. Here's the painful truth. Anger keeps her in control, but doubt makes her vulnerable. It makes her question her choices, her ego, her pride. And that vulnerability is where the spiral takes over. The lesson for you: most men ruin this stage by giving in, by reaching out when she's finally beginning to regret. Don't rescue her from her own doubt. Let her sit in it. Because that spiral is where the real shift happens. The shift from you chasing her to her chasing you. Dark truth, quank v. Silence forces a turning point. Respect or regret, there's a breaking point in every period of silence. A moment where she can no longer sit comfortably on the fence. This is where her heart and her ego collide. One of two things happens here: respect is born. If she sees that you're not chasing, not folding, not running back like every other man before you, something shifts. Deep down, women crave strength. They admire restraint. And when you show her that you can detach, you rise in value in her eyes. Silence becomes proof of your self-respect, your discipline, your ability to stand alone. That kind of energy is magnetic. Or regret consumes her. If her pride is stronger than her heart, she may never reach out. Instead, she'll carry the weight of regret. She'll think of you in quiet moments, compare other men to you, and wonder what life might have been if she hadn't played the games. But even if she never admits it, the silence marks you permanently in her memory. Here's the paradox most men never understand. You don't need her to respect you out loud. You only need her to feel it inside, whether she comes back or not. The silence has already done its work. It has planted you in a place words could never reach. Her subconscious. The lesson for you, this turning point, is where weak men cave. They think, I have to remind her what she lost. But the truth is, silence is already reminding her. Every day, every hour, every empty notification. By holding your ground, you give her no choice but to face the reality she's been avoiding. You were never afraid to walk away. Dark truth, fate 6C. Silence transforms you into the man she never expected up until now. We've been talking about her emotions, her doubts, her regret. But here's the deepest truth. Silence isn't really about her at all. It's about you. Most men crumble in silence because they can't handle their own thoughts. They confuse solitude with loneliness. They rush back, not because they miss her, but because they can't sit with themselves. And that's exactly why silence is such a powerful weapon. It reveals whether you are ruled by weakness or by discipline. When you stay silent, something begins to change inside you. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stop obsessing over what she's doing. You start to put that energy back into yourself. Your focus sharpens. Your confidence rebuilds. Your presence grows heavier, stronger. This is where you evolve from a man who needs her into a man she never believed you could be without her. And here's the irony: the more you transform, the more the silence flips the script. She thought you'd collapse without her, but instead you rise. What psychologists call this self-reinforcement, when your actions create internal proof of your own strength. Every day you hold the line. You're not just proving something to her, you're proving it to yourself. That proof becomes unshakable. The lesson for you, silence, isn't just a tactic to win her attention. It's a mirror. It forces you to face your own insecurities and conquer them. And the moment you stop making silence about her and start making it about you, that's when you step into a power that no woman, no rejection, no breakup can ever take away. Dark Truth Find 70, silence rewrites the dynamic. Forever silence isn't just a pause. It's a reset button. A point where the entire dynamic between you and her gets rewritten, whether she realizes it or not. When you choose silence, what? You're no longer the man chasing. You're no longer the man trying to prove his worth. You've shifted the balance. You've shown her and yourself that your value doesn't depend on her attention. That is power. Here's the truth most men never grasp, Pi. Once a woman has felt your silence, she can never see you the same way again. Even if she comes back, the respect is different. Even if she doesn't, the memory of your restraint lingers. Silence leaves a permanent imprint that words could never carve. And here's the ultimate twist: silence is not about getting her back. Silence is about getting you back. The man you were before the games. The man who knows his worth. The man who doesn't beg for love, but attracts it naturally by being whole. So what happens after silence? Well, sometimes she comes back humbled, ready to reconnect. Or sometimes she stays gone, carrying the quiet weight of regret. But every time you walk away stronger, more focused, more unshakable. And that's the beauty of silence. It doesn't just change her, it transforms you. It breaks the cycle of chasing, and it rewrites the story of who you are. Final lessons: stop fearing silence, start embracing it. Because in a world where everyone is desperate to be seen, the man who can stand strong in silence is the one who is never forgotten. Conclusion: silence will always be your power. At the end of the day, silence isn't weakness. It isn't avoidance. It isn't a game. Silence is the loudest statement you will ever make. It says, I respect myself more than I crave your attention. It says, I don't need to chase to prove my worth. It says, if you can't value me, then my absence will teach you what my presence was worth. Silence is not about punishing her. It's about protecting you, protecting your energy, protecting the man you are becoming. Because here's the truth: words beg, but silence commands. And the man who can master silence never has to fear losing anyone, because he knows he can never lose himself. So the next time you feel the urge to break it, to reach out, to fill the void, remember this: silence is not empty. Silence is full of answers. And in that stillness, you don't just win her respect, you win your own.